Oh. Okay, so that's funny. Okay. In fact, a lot of them. Okay, I was just reading something, but, yeah.
I'd like to call the November 13th, 2025 Council on Aging work session to order.
No, me,
It's not a work session,
no.
it's an aging meeting to order. We can stand and say the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Then we have roll call, please. Craig. Present. Stadler.
Present.
Geller. Modic. Here. Witzman. Here. Glendenning.
Here.
Hill. Here. You have a form. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move that we accept the attendance.
There's a second.
Presented.
Second. Any other revision?
This is a lay down.
Any other objections to approving the agenda as presented? If not, they stand approved. No public comment. Motion to approve the July 10th regular meeting. Jim,
Move that we approve the minutes of July 10th, 25 meeting.
is there a second?
Second.
Any revisions to the minutes at all? Not, they stand as approved. Unfinished business updates on the work session plan. Kathy?
So we've had a couple of work sessions this year on it. And I thought it would be a good time, November, before the December meeting, to just talk about the goals, who was in charge of each of the goals, and kind of give an update from where we were. That is, we will be in January presenting to council, I believe it's January, that we present to council the goals that we worked on this year and how those goals were, whether they're going to become goals for next year as well, or if we're moving on to different goals. So I thought this would be a good meeting just to go over them and talk about where they were. So the first one was the operation, identify opportunities for intergenerational program. I think it was working on that one.
Well, in August, we sent a mailing with a questionnaire about whether interest in having such programs, whether they had the program, and then whether there was, if they didn't, whether they're any interest in it. And we were specifically looking for formal programs. And we sent out about 40 letters, got about 10 back, but the majority of we got 6 from senior centers throughout the state, 3 from schools, and then Rural Cap. And Rural Cap is the one agency that actually has a formal program, and theirs is the Elder Mentor program with foster grandparent program. And the rest of the responses, some of them do have activities that include seniors, like high school students might come and do an event, or they might go to the high school and work with them. This is high school and college age students. But none of them had a formal program. It's more like ours is, you know. If we have dinner, we have kids that come in and out. And most of them, I don't believe any of them said that, you know, yes, I urgently want a formal program. They seem to be satisfied with a volunteer program that met whatever needs came up. So I guess at this point, my question is, when we had this objective was, did we just want to see whether there were any programs, or do we really want to create our own formal program? And so that's the question that I would ask before we move on. I mean, there's opportunities here, and we obviously take advantage of opportunities when they come up. But do we want something that we have specific programs? I know Barb had a specific program that you wanted, or activity that you wanted to see, didn't you, with getting senior volunteers into positions?
Yeah. We didn't really address that in our building, did we? I mean, we were connecting it to what we were doing with the booklet.
No, but I thought you had a comment when we talked about this goal. That you would like to
That's
see.
right.
That was a
Yeah.
program
Yeah.
that we had to help seniors be placed, is that correct?
Right.
And so that may be what of all of this, that may be the piece that we want to do. And explore further, which, you know, and develop it in a formal way. So that's my question to the group, really, is what direction do we want to take?
Yeah, someone had an idea. Try to kind of spit it out there. Or we just talking, yeah.
Added the idea of what,
I say, she had an idea, maybe now's the time for her to reveal it, and, you know, something to discuss. We're talking about.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what I had proposed.
I believe that she just was concerned about seniors getting placed in volunteer positions,
Yeah.
not
Well,
necessarily.
Well, I was more, the question I had about the volunteer program is having something in writing that addressed, that was more of advertising it to the community and getting more people into it, but having the program established
Okay,
in writing before we did anything further with it.
so what would you
Yes.
like to see in that program?
So if I'm understanding, Barb, are you asking, you'd rather make sure that you have, which
All the legal
some
things.
regular, our volunteer program officially established versus.
Right, and particularly established and looking at all the ins and outs of what we can legally, what these people can legally do as far as participating, like in the kitchen or with the health, issues, and what they can do as far as physical driving, contributing
I
transportation.
think,
But all these areas outside of the senior center too, that they might be involved.
yeah, you might want to comment on that. So if I'm hearing Barb right, I'm wondering, you're talking about our volunteer program that we have, and is there a volunteer booklet or handbook or whatever, so when people come in, is that what you're talking about?
Right, yes, it would be,
Okay.
it'd be very clear as to who they report to and what their duties are. And signing in and signing out, and filling out the goodies.
We currently have that with Kayla when, for instance, we just got a background check back on a volunteer driver this last week, and he has been working with our we get three things. There's fingerprinting, there's a background check, which is a criminal background check, and then there are the driving record. And so once we get all of those, and those cost over $100 for us to do that. So we want to ensure to use this person as a driver, that they're going to be able to pass these things, right? So in the meantime, volunteers, Kayla is the volunteer coordinator, so we have a volunteer application that is, that asks a number of things and gets them scheduled, they get signed in with a card and how they're using the card. And as a lot of our volunteers can be over the age of 60, actually, volunteers are allowed on our NTS program, the Title III grant. We are allowed to count volunteers on our NTS program. So if they're volunteering in any capacity like that, a meal here or hours would be counted toward that. So we do have that. I don't know that we have a formal, we have been working for a number of years on getting it through the proper channels on the formal volunteer handbook, but we wanted to keep that simple. And it is simple is better. And, you know, just having a volunteer going through a background check can be a little bit exciting. So we do have proper protocols in place on what happens with that. So, and I'm going to step back for a minute if I can, because the goal was identifying opportunities for intergenerational programs. So in the response that you got, Kid, from the response that you got from the schools, local schools, didn't you get something for Boys and Girls Club?
Yes, we did, but, and, it was also sent to all the senior centers in the state. Was specifically with the question about intergenerational programs.
Right, right. So if, did you have positive response from like schools in our area?
The ones that we had, it was very, like I said, there were only 3 schools, I think, that responded. But it was positive. All the ones that we got were positive responses, but they said we have volunteer programs instead of, you know, formal ones like you're talking about, where we had something like a handbook. And maybe that's what we need if, and then, but I think we need to identify how we get those young people here too, and how we create that link. If, I mean, we do have it to some extent. So I guess the question is, do we want to develop other opportunities for them? Because it'd be opportunities for seniors also, because they're going to interact with the seniors. So
Intergenerational exposure doesn't have to be on a volunteer. I mean, I don't know if it's really, would it be part of the formal volunteer program? I don't see that.
okay, well, that was the question I was asking.
I mean, I wouldn't think that you would wind up through all the administrative stuff to do that. Make them formal volunteers. School children or whatever you do with them.
Jim,
Yeah, there's the response that you got, you know, from the schools that does that meet our requirement? In other words, we have people that come in and help, want to have a special event, the CAP kids come. You know, is this a type of thing that we're doing now without putting too fine a point on it and getting too bureaucratic? Would that suffice for this goal, or are we looking for more?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know that we want to. So that's saying what we're doing now, what we're happy with. Is over at the schools, they, gosh knows what all they got going on over there too.
And I mean, I didn't get a big response back from the schools, but I guess, the ones right here that are a bit like Kenai High, maybe even Solvada, but that we might talk with someone in person there. We did not do that. It was just a survey. Yes.
did you get any response from, say, the elementary schools as far as seniors going there and maybe reading to the students?
We did, people did say they were interested in the program, but they just didn't have it set up. So I guess we would have to identify places that seniors can enact with intergenerational opportunities.
Or vice versa, I guess it could go both ways, but teachers are willing to bring the kids here. We've done that a long time ago.
Some of it depends on the teachers at the schools. Mountain View has been a huge supporter. The principal who was there, as well as the music teacher for many years, would bring his kids over, and the student council, student council, or achieve honor society for Mountain View. They would have, anytime we had a Veterans Day or along that line, but it all depended upon the administration and the teachers of the school. And so maybe that's the connection in making, with like K Beach Elementary, Suzanne Claben, who's Paul's wife, who was,
Right.
Who used to teach for 30-some years at K Beach Elementary. She would bring her kids over for the last few
Right.
years for crafting with all
That was
the
great.
crafters, and we'd have a joint craft thing. So it maybe just now that you've kind of done what your goal was.
Right.
And I think that's fantastic. It wasn't a simple process. And now it's okay. We've identified the ones that are interested, and we just got to keep that interest alive.
Yeah.
And that's where we as staff can help with that. And we do have, if you look at our calendar throughout the year, we do have several intergenerational things. Breakfast with Santa. We had the Civil Air Patrol kids are here a lot doing Halloween, and they were just here serving on Veterans on Monday. Is it Monday? It's Monday that we celebrated Veterans Day this week. So it may not have brought back all of the answers that we would have liked, but it did give us a good amount of information on what people are thinking.
Mhm.
And you got 25% back of your surveys, correct?
That's really good.
That's a pretty good return.
I have just something to bolt on to our, things that we can invite. We have a greenhouse out there, right? They come spring with me, use some pots and, hey, come on, kid, here, here's how you do it, or maybe the Homestead kids know how to do it, I don't know. But that would be another entree to, they like physical things. Not too much, especially if they're on house, but around here, they like,
Yeah.
just a thought.
Or anybody else in regards to goal one?
Well, I think that maybe in the future recommendation would be to, as you say, build these relationships, people that we know, identify the people that act, and build those relationships. And I'm hearing from everybody that they're more into it informal rather than formal.
Yeah.
You say that, but in reality, when they come in, Kathy, we keep track of hours as well as individual
right,
hours. as
right.
well. So. I don't know if people are on board.
No, what I'm thinking of is like rural cap,
Oh.
that they
okay.
have a very specific program and an outreach program, but formal.
Formal.
And I think I'm hearing from everybody that they're not into that. It's rather have a more informal, and that's basically what the response was. Is that we like what we're doing.
Right. Okay. And that's positive.
If you say anything, I may have missed it, but the last strategy you have listed is number 4. Connecting with other seniors, I think.
I did. I sent it out to all the senior centers in my life.
And they
Well, number how many did I say? 6.
are
Six that were-
incorporating volunteers from different age groups.
Yes. Yeah, because that was specific. The question here was specifically designed to target intergenerational programs that they have. And then I know that that's what they were saying, because they'd say, oh, like, the high school comes over when we have this dinner, kids from the high school come over. And they had other programs, and sometimes the seniors went to other locations. So. I don't know if that answers your question.
Any other questions?
Breakfast is no.
What's that?
Breakfast is no.
I'm sorry.
Prom, breakfast,
Oh, yeah, prom breakfast, yeah. And that's a fun one.
yeah.
That's a real fun one for seniors to join. If you can get up in the morning. Or not go to sleep at night, right?
Okay, thank you, Kit. Number 2, review emergency plan for the Kenai Senior Center. Right.
Oh, okay, it's me. So the plans have been completed. It kind of morphed a little bit because the city has its own plan. Our contractor not only created an emergency operation plans for the senior center and a continuity of operations plan for the senior center, but he also created an annex from ours to the cities. They're now completed, and the next training is for staff, Kathy, myself, other staff, to learn how to implement our new plan. And then the next meeting you guys have, the contractors agreed to come in and do a 2-hour training on scenarios for you guys to work on with him to give feedback. I don't know if we're unleashing those plans at that time, but they are completed now.
That will be December 11th.
December 11th at 3.
That's 3.
No, I won't be.
So.
Who was it? Yes, how many did you do the training?
Cat My Solutions was our contractor.
Any other questions for Red? Goal number 3, identify programs and activities for health and wellness.
So last update we had as a pair was on our work session, and at that time I distributed this handout that where we actually had identified 9 areas which are really strategies for managing how we're going to approach healthy aging with the seniors. And was everybody have a copy of that? So then our next task is the strategy of how do we implement, actually get this information to the group, the population. So it was Kathy and Red that met with us and suggested that we go with one. We already have programs available right here on site, but we don't have like a concise gathering of all the information, national resources, state resources that they can easily get online and maybe do workshops or whatever. But anyway, this booklet is what was proposed, and I didn't make this. We don't have the booklet made yet, but it would be a community resource for seniors. And it would address the information there, would address all of these areas that we had identified. And there are 9 of them. There could be others, people might have different ideas about this, but it just kind of gets all the major concerns in one place. That you could maybe word it another way, but I think it's pretty good the way it is, 9 areas, because it covers just about everything: physical, cognitive, social, isolation, health, mental, physical, emotional. All of the areas are covered under those 9 areas.
And a lot of that dovetails to what we have going on already. We're
And-
just highlighting the opportunity.
Right. Well, actually, we have some of this going, but we don't have the information and the resources out to the population, really. And the
So-
programs are limited to who actually comes here to the center to do the exercise or whatever. Yeah, which is, significant. the number. I think it's great. You know, there are a lot of really good programs going on. But I mean, so we're looking at the senior population of the entire area, right? Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
but you said it was just limited to people here.
No.
No,
So the part that I'm actually working on then is
Right.
we compiled all of this stuff and I almost have it done. I was
Oh,
hoping to have
you're
it done
working on
for
it.
this month.
While we're here.
But it will be done next month. It's, I'm working on the booklet. And so I've got information, you know, from the Knightsies even. So it will be something that will cover the whole aging area in our community. So, anyway, I'm about 3/4 done.
So you're listing all of the resources available on it, including.
I'm trying to, yes.
It
There is a lot, but
doesn't have to be on site kind of.
no,
activities.
there's information on who to contact for Alzheimer's and like they give free testing. And so that information is in there. So that's, and, cards and then like the walking at the field house. And so the pool and, you know, all different things that will be available, throughout our community that we can then get out and people will then be able to go, oh, okay, well, I'm interested in, you know, some exercising. And so they can go to that page and see what's available and as well as then our calendar. It'll have a link to our calendar on the website and stuff. So almost done.
This is the structure for what you.
Yes. Yeah.
It can also appear on the city website.
Yeah.
So the link to that will appear on the senior center page on the city website. So, but it's been a great, Barb, all of the things that you have on here will all be addressed.
And yeah, and I keep thinking about the reach out and that so many of these areas, there are so many programs available on in the federal level, but you have to be able to access them on the computer. So if we could facilitate the computer learning and space here for people to get onto these programs, they can do workshops, seminars, you know, video seminars, all kinds of things on the computer. But it's somebody who's not used to using this kind of learning is probably gonna have to have some help just to access it. I'm pretty computer savvy and I have trouble getting out to some of these sites.
Well, we talked about printing it and putting it maybe in the newsletter one month and some different things. So for people who can't, have access to a computer, but.
Any more questions for Barbie, Gina?
So we're still working on our strategy. We haven't finished it. But we would probably be finished within by the end of the year anyway. Maybe by the beginning of this year.
Great job, everybody.
Great job. Yeah, we did it.
It was, it's active people and getting excited about doing things. I know sometimes it's a lot of work. So thank you.
Okay. FY 27 capital plan.
So I did not have this in the packet because I needed to be in touch with Public Works and I am I have before you, the laydown that I have is a memo regarding capital projects. And these were based off of our work session that we had last time, talking about capital projects. And if you notice on the first page, the memo, you'll see the roof repair. And that is currently being, they've started, they're looking for an engineer to do, an architect to do a number of planning projects that need an engineer and an architect. And he went around, the senior centers included in that, not just a replacement of our doors, but the front entry to move that, the doors, the spacing we've talked about for years, the spacing amount in between those doors to get a person with a walker and a wheelchair in there. We've had people fall because the door will bump them. And so they're actually looking to move it out again 5 feet. And that's a big project. So all of that, I don't know that that will be accomplished in fiscal year 27, but it is, I did stick it in here for fiscal year 27. So if we look at the first page, actually, yes, let's look at the first page. So this year we're doing the canopy project. They've already had an engineer looking at the front on that. It would not only just replace the roofing and the whatever's in it that needs to come out, replace it, but also the wiring, the lighting in it. So we have better lighting under that canopy. That is being, my understanding, that is being taken care of this year. The money was put in last year's budget for that. The senior citizen door project for fiscal year 27, which starts next July. If council approves that and the city manager, I don't know, city manager has signed off on that either, but it would be and this would be based on the city manager's recommendation, of course, but would be replacing these 2 doors here inside where people with a wheelchair on both, and if they're doing this either way, it is difficult. It is also difficult to open those doors if you're using a walker.
Yep.
And so they're looking at doing something, even like a 42-inch door that would be with a handicap access that you would have. The bathroom doors, this door needs to swing out and not in. And we found that out just recently. I hear a couple of tubes. Yeah. And then the kitchen door. Talked about replacing the kitchen door too. So all of that, and I'm probably low balling that at 60,000, but that's what we put in there. We talked about that last time. I messed up. If you look over to the right, it should say 60 on their memo and not 30 there. So
The reverse, actually.
yeah, thank you. And then the landscaping phase. I know we talked about in our work session last time, we talked about maybe going ahead and doing a proposed landscaping design for the back. But the more I thought about it and looking at it, I think the door project is more important at this point. And plus now we're going to see how much of the backyard we're going to lose. It's finally finished. Now we're going to see how that's going to taper off. And so I pushed that back again to fiscal year 28 to start, pushed it to 29 for the final ones. And I would like to think there may be some grant funds that could be put toward that. So if you look on page 2 of this, see in our current fiscal year, which is 26, it will be the roof repair. 27, if this project is moved forward, the door project, we go to phase 1 of the landscaping, phase 2 of the landscaping, and then fiscal year 2030. That's up already. So anyway, that was my suggestion, and as we talked about last time, I don't think there's any changes on that.
Senior connections are.
They could have something to do with funding. They are very generous to us. as it is. They are, matter of fact, senior, I'll talk about that in my director's report in just a second, but. So, but what I need from you is, if you have questions, I'm happy to answer those. And then we would need a recommendation to council on this. Yes,
Was their proposal that the door project would actually be in 2028?
it would be fiscal year 27. Did I do that wrong on that page?
No, but I was just reading the memo.
27.
And then, yeah, right, scheduled so fiscal year 2026 and 27, which are likely postponed to 2028 and 2029.
Those are the landscaping projects.
Oh, okay.
Those are the landscaping projects. And they keep getting bumped up.
So you already moved it.
Yeah, they keep getting bumped back, I guess you can say, bumped back, but they, and my figures are not right, 180. I'm looking at this. Are they? Oh, I just inverted those numbers, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, good. I think, wow. 210 down. Ugh, that doesn't look as good as.
I'll just write the check.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Anyway, so, yes.
Any other questions for Kathy? Do I have a motion to accept our goal?
CIP projects.
Yeah, I move that we accept the capital project review goals as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes.
So I'll start with what Senior Connection read, and I put in a letter of intent in September to DOT for the asking if we could apply for, well, most of you were there at that meeting, so if we could apply for a wheelchair van, and this would be through, it's a federal transit grant through the state of Alaska, although I believe some of this money comes from Mental Health Trust. So we put in a letter of intent and asked what we would be looking at as a $90,000 project to have a vehicle that would not be a huge wheelchair van, but that would be a smaller ramp that we could have up to 2 wheelchairs, and we could have individuals who cannot step up into a bigger van, which we currently have issues. We currently have a handful of people who we can't transport in with the vans. So we were granted that in October, and some of you went with us to the borough meeting. This grant requires that a government or a local area transportation group rank them in order of what they would call, I don't know, rank them in order of preference or importance is what they call. Doesn't quite make sense because some of it is coming out of different pools of money, but in our situation, our area transportation board with Red and I are both on board with that. Red and I are both part of it. Is they use the Kenai Peninsula Borough they will pass a resolution ranking those in order based on the transportation group as a whole, and it's open to the members of the public. And so this year there were 2 contenders, Independent Living and the Senior Center. And Independent Living had 3 different projects, and the Senior Center, this van was voted as #1 priority on that. So we will be working steadily over the next 6 weeks to get that grant in. And I went to Senior Connection in August or September, one of those. And I asked if we were able to get the grant, if we were able to apply for the grant, would they do a match? And they agreed we had to have an 80-20 match. So a 20% match would be up to about $20,000. And Senior Connection willingly said, yes, they would match that money for us. So that is a very, in addition to what Senior Connection helps us with on so many levels on a yearly budget, and sponsors March for Meals like they do. That's a good opportunity to show what Senior Connection does. And it's a really good opportunity. So that was really positive. We have until middle of December to get the grant in. And I think we have a good chance of getting that. So that would be also a fiscal year 27 grant. So we would not be buying a vehicle until about a year from right now. So because we are part of the city of Kenai, our procurement process in the code requires getting bid and going through a bid process. So the next thing is Red's talked to you about this, the emergency plan, and I hope you can all make it for that. I think it might be good to have it in a work session, so it could happen in the event we didn't have a quorum, that we would still have it in a work session. What this is doing is it gives you opportunity to see and comment on an emergency plan based for Kenai Senior Center. And you are the recommendation council to the mayor and the city council. So I think it's a good thing. And how they'll present it is with different scenarios. I think that would be wonderful. We have the Hilt Corp Thanksgiving luncheon coming up a week from tomorrow. And we are going to be ready for that. Missy came in this morning and she says, so the weather's been bad southeast and turkeys and pies will not be here. And I said, ha, ha, ha. She goes, yeah, I said that. I said, first of all, you would be figuring out with every freight person you know how to get those here. So we had quite a few events this month. November's been or October was a really busy month, but we had the Bluff Erosion Project here, a good turnout for there. The Bronze Bear event was really nice. We didn't have as many people, but it was still a really nice event. And looking into December, we are, yeah, everything's looking pretty good. You know, our normal close times and things. Red, can you think of anything that we have coming up that we should share?
I'm thinking it. I'm just remembering the trauma that just ended. I'm trying to think of the next one. I can't off the top of my head. We just had the crafter that went very well. It was a little slower than expected, and I think that had something to do with multiple crafters going on. You had the Nilchik, you had Sterling, and everybody wants to see everybody. So the weather for the most part was cold but clear. Saturday, I believe, was better than Sunday. We had some new additions. The senior center volunteers were actually selling their swag. They did pretty well selling shirts. I was kind of surprised on that, but overall, it was a fun event.
We do have new sweatshirts, t-shirts, hoodies, and Senior Connection just purchased quite a few. We haven't purchased any in many years. There's one blue hoodie sweatshirt that zips up, that's not in yet, but and they're not making a profit on these. They're selling them basically for what they paid for. But it gives people, so I see employees are buying them and people are picking them up and see, so that's kind of cool. Yeah. That one. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and we're going with that color went away. And so we treasure those of us who still have those. And it's going more with the navy blue, like Bill's navy blue there. Yeah, the navy, the dark blue. darkening. So,
I love the zip ups.
Yeah.
I really like them.
yeah, they really, really are nice. We went with Heather and Heather in Savannah. And they did a really, really good job for us. I would like to welcome Vice Mayor Victoria Askin. Yes, Victoria, I'm so used to seeing you there. And she not only gained re-election, but was voted in as vice mayor. And so and she asked for council on aging, and she got it. So it is wonderful to have you back. Wonderful. And I think that's it, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does that emergency plan include next door?
It does not.
Thank you.
Doesn't mean it can't in the future, one step at a time.
I have a question, Catherine. In our work session, we were talking about doing something with this room.
Yes.
Is there any money appropriated for, renovating or doing something different with it?
So if I can give you the backstory on that. So my intention was to go for a Rasmussen grant during this current year that we're in, fiscal year 26. And we have been given, we have 5. I can think of his name. He was an artist and he taught at the college over here for many, many years, art. And we have 5 of his originals. And a lot of seniors in our area my mom was one of them, who in the 80s took classes from him. And we have 5 originals that we're hanging on to. And so the plan was to take that. We no longer need that whole computer lab. Now that we have laptops, people are not using. We may keep one computer in there, and then the Social Security computer, which they are upgrading us to an even better one in January, and to remove the carpeting, to get new flooring in, remove the old drapes, and say goodbye to the 1980 wallpaper. So we were going to redo. And well, the city's working on the heat issue. That's not my ballgame, but it is, they are working on that. So in the meantime, the Bronze Bear Project was able to get a grant from Rasmussen and help push them over the top for the fundraising that they needed for that. And they called and they said, not at that time, they didn't think they could fund 2 city projects. And I said, I think we're okay to step back. We don't need to do that. It was a special project that I had that was going to be grant funded, not city funded. And so I said, not a problem, we'll just put it in next year. Well, in the meantime, we're running out of room in the craft room. And so at our work session last month, we talked about the possibilities of what we could do with that room. We have Vintage Point coming through here. So we're working on getting the new doors and how could we want to utilize that room it's a great craft room. It'd be a great painting room because of the light that's in there. And so I did talk with the city engineer, public works director, and he said, I would be happy to come over and sit and talk with you guys and have a meeting, talk about possibilities, what we would do here and things. And so it will not happen in fiscal year 27, which starts, but I do believe after we get the budget done in the springtime, we can have him come talk to Council on Aging and say, what are our options for doing some space issue here? And is that work out to where we can it would be really nice to get the traffic flow from the Vintage Point so they don't have to come through that door or interrupt. We could get better use out of that craft room. So I'm not sure what that looks like, but he would be happy to come and talk with us about it. So in December, it's going to be the emergency plan, and that's a 2-hour meeting. So I didn't think we wanted to add him to that at this time. So maybe January or February, we could talk about it. So yes, that was Barb, to answer your question. That was in the plan. We just, it isn't the right time for me to ask for a grant because we don't know what we want to do exactly with that room yet.
And it's actually more square footage than you would imagine when you look at it. With that table in it, I think there's really more room than you.
It's a
think there
square.
is.
This is a
It's a
rectangle.
quarter of this room,
It's a square one.
so that could definitely be used for a purpose better than it is right now.
Social Security uses that also.
Only 2 days a month,
Right.
just for 2 hours or 3 hours on every other Wednesday. First and third Wednesdays, so it's limited. Writers group utilize that, but there's some things, that wall there, the library. This is that thing could come this way, that is there's all sorts of possibilities. Pretty simple, just bring the wall over.
Yeah.
Where is the emergency planning meeting? Here. The same place we went before, here. Oh, it's here.
Who they be utilizing?
Maybe, I'll check with him. Because he's coming from Anchorage that after.
What's the date of that again?
Your next meeting.
Oh, okay. Any questions for Kathy? Thank you. And thank you. And thank you to your whole staff for all you guys do. For us. Amazing. Amazing. Okay, Vice Mayor Huskin.
Well, glad to have you here. I'm happy to be here. So our last meeting was November 5th, and the Kenai Police Department got their accreditation from the Northwest Accreditation Alliance. This is an accreditation that they started. They're the first ones in the state to get it, and this is the second time that they've been approved. And now Soldotna, Juneau, Ketchikan, and Fairbanks have all jumped on and are doing it, but it was led by Kenai, so that's pretty cool. The community development block grant program appointed Kevin Butner as their chair. And then we enacted an ordinance increasing revenues in the wastewater treatment facility to upgrade the treatment digester blowers. And we also enacted the ordinance for and accepted the donation of the 3 bronze bear statues at the airport. That was pretty cool. And then we had some easement stuff in Valhalla Heights subdivision. They vacated some utility easements and so that the lots could be combined. And we established our city council meeting schedule for 2026 and agreed to terminate the Challenger Center lease. That was pretty sad. We had a tough time with that one. They've been here, I think, almost 25 years. Lots of kids went through that program. What really did them in was COVID, and after COVID, a lot of out of town schools stopped coming, but they just couldn't sustain anymore. We also authorized the purchase of some more equipment software and a new snow blower for blowing on walking trails and the bike trails.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah.
And other than that, there wasn't a whole lot of other. We, of course, Mayor Negstead appointed everyone to the different commissions. We had some appointments, and if anyone is interested in serving on a commission, we really could use good people. I see a whole bunch of them here. And then we're tentatively scheduled for the 12th of January for a work session with the Salamanca Tribal Council. And with the change, we voted, of course, to change the borough elections to coincide with state elections, and so now we're deciding whether or not we're gonna move the city ones to the same time. So if that's gonna save money or time and all that good stuff, so that's gonna be considered. And council members, Casena, Greeny, and Mayor Nexted are subcommittee. They're putting together council applicant questions for, I believe we have 4 applicants for appointment to the empty city council seat. We'll be deciding at the next meeting who will be in that spot. And I think that's all I have, but I'm available for questions. Yes, sir.
Yeah, for the, well, actually, 2 questions. For the, Space Technology Center, is there a, future use envision, or is it just kind of came up on this? And,
There's a lot of talk. I know that the fire department rushed right over there. They were pretty interested, but I know there's gonna be a work session and they're gonna, if you have ideas. But I know that the fire and the police department have pretty much outgrown themselves in the building they're in. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see that we start moving people around. I know the fire department really liked it because it's right on the highway. But it's gonna take quite a bit of rebuilding, to put bays in and stuff for them. But you're right, and the other alternative, of course, is the Beacon building. It's pretty much empty now, and there's 4 bays there. Plus they already, I think there's 4 bays, I know there's 2 for sure. And then they have the tower for like drying hoses and stuff is already built in there, and the fire training is there.
Sure.
That might be a good place to relocate the fire department and leave the ambulances in the police department. I know there's also the Aurora Borealis wants to expand their height. They want to expand into high school. And the Challenger Center is a educational rated facility that might be a place to put. So I don't know. There's going to be a bunch of alternatives, I'm sure.
All happy.
Yes.
Yeah. Then one other question over there. At Stevens Space Center. Individuals generously donated money and they had a little plaque put on the floor. At what time do I get to retrieve my plaque? So
No, that's a good question. They may
want
just
it
keep,
back.
they may
If
keep
you're
them
not-
there for posterity.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
That's not even.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll take it. I'll put it over here. So little park over by Dr. Earl's office.
Hmm.
There's little square things in the ground, and I'll just transplant it there with some permission. Just thinking ahead,
There's not very many spots left over there.
not too far ahead. I'll be taking a dirt nap here soon in 10 years maybe. Stop.
Yeah, you got that on your calendar.
You just never know.
I like you, Adam.
Any other additional comments? Our next meeting is December 11th. Anybody know that they're not gonna be here?
Me,
Tina?
I'll be out.
And where will you be?
We're on a cruise ship.
Nice.
Hopefully soaking up some sun.
That sounds awesome.
Comments from the rest of the council at all? Jim?
No, I don't know. Airport. first time. Or, better than I went, and it was very well done. And I was impressed by the detail of the scales of the fish.
Yeah.
No, that was pretty cool. Then they had little bears, one of them, but I, one watched what mom was doing. It was placed right along the way. Little favorably, the people. And their pressure. So,
Where
I
they come,
get it.
where they come back from, which part of which critter is gonna be gold from people rubbing on it, you know, like
Oh,
different bronze statues.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it gonna be the fish tail or the bear's nose or? Yeah.
I've been up with those.
Comment? Do we need to start thinking about goals again for the new year?
Goals, yep, we're getting through that time of year, Barb. You have any ideas?
I was just thinking, can we build on a past year school?
Absolutely.
Sure.
We didn't have a lot of time to work on it. But maybe we could just reword it.
Thinking head on.
Add on.
Okay, seeing none. I will. Start this meeting adjourned.
Where have you been? Oh, you just came back from where?
Oh.
Minnesota.